I don't know if you know who this guy is, but this guy is one of the greats. He was born around 1860, and he wrote a series of books that went off to inspire millions of people to go out and get rich and live the life they never thought was possible. And essentially this guy, his name was Wallace D. Wattles. And in this volume, there are 10 books, but today we're talking about the science of getting rich. So what I love doing is when I get a book, I will essentially go through and I will highlight the really important elements of the book and essentially distill them down to the top 30, 50, whether it be 60, 100 notes that are gonna give the biggest value from the book. And today I'm gonna be doing that with the science of getting rich. So we're gonna go straight into the introduction. This introduction is essentially the foundation for the whole book. And when I explain this introduction to you, I want you to really take this with you through the rest of the book when I'm saying things, and I want you to refer back to this because it's gonna help you understand it very, very well. The monistic theory of the universe, the theory that one is all and all is one, that one substance manifests itself as a seemingly many elements of the material world, is of Hindu origin and has been gradually winning its way into the thought of Western world for 200 years. It is a foundation of all the Oriental philosophies and those of Descartes, Spinoza, Leibniz, Schopenhauer, Hegel, and Emerson. Essentially, what he's saying is that in the world, all is one and one is all. And that there is this one substance that underlies the whole universe, and this one substance manifests itself into many forms. So I really want you to understand this as we go through the book. So we're gonna go to the section that talks about the right to be rich. So the object of life is development, and everything that lives has an inalienable right to all the development it is capable of attaining. The purpose of nature is the advancement and the unfoldment of life, and every man should have all that can contribute to the power, elegance, beauty, and richness of life. To be content with less is sinful. There is nothing wrong with wanting to get rich. The desire for riches is really the desire for a richer, fuller, and more abundant life, and that desire is praiseworthy. There are three motives for which we live. We live for the body, we live for the mind, and we live for the soul. See, I love this because essentially what he's saying is the purpose of the universe or purpose of life is essentially the unfoldment and advancement of you. Essentially, it is for you to become the best you possibly can be. And I absolutely love that. And what I love is a lot of the time we think there's a problem with getting rich, but he's saying there is nothing wrong with getting rich because all you're seeking is a more abundant and full life. And this is praiseworthy. So then we're going to talk about there is a science to getting rich, and I love this. The ownership of money and property comes as a result of doing things a certain way. Those who do things in a certain way, whether on purpose or accidentally, get rich, while those who do not do things in a certain way, no matter how hard they work or how able they are, remain poor. I'll share a quick story. So we live in a beautiful suburb, one of the most richest suburbs along the beach in South Australia. And people always walk down our street and they always admire the homes. And as I was reversing into our driveway when we were parking and I was talking to my partner, I said, look, if those people want to live here in one of these beautiful homes, they can. All they need to take is a series of steps from A to Z and they'll get rich. And essentially, this is exactly what Wallace D. Wattles is saying over 100 years ago. All you need to do is take a series of steps. Absolutely love this. So then we're going to go over to opportunity. At different periods, the tide of opportunity sets in different directions according to the needs of the whole and the particular stage of social evolution, which has been reached. There is an abundance of opportunity for the man who will go with the tide instead of trying to swim against it. What I love about this is essentially saying there is opportunity elsewhere. But what's really important, we need to think about where society is at a whole in this very moment. It doesn't matter what year we are in. Where is society at this present moment? Because where this society is, they're going to have a series of needs. And the man will get rich who fulfills those needs for those individuals. And the person who tries to go against the tide, the person who tries to go against the needs of the individual is going to struggle to get rich. Absolutely love this about opportunity. So the first principle in the science of getting rich. Thought is the only power which can produce tangible riches from the formless substance. The stuff from which all things are made is a substance which thinks, and a thought of form in this substance produces the form. Original substance moves according to its thoughts. Every form and process you see in nature is a visible expression of a thought in original substance. No thought of form can be impressed upon the original substance without causing the creation of the form. Man is a thinking center and can originate thought. All the forms that man fashions with his hands must first exist in thought. He cannot shape a thing until he's thought that thing. All the seemingly many elements are but different presentations of one element. All the many forms found in organic and inorganic nature are but different shapes made from the same stuff. I'm going to summarize this very, very quickly, right? So, I'm wearing a very expensive watch, a Hublot. I don't know how to pronounce it properly. I think it's a Hublot. For this to be created, it first existed within the mind of man. Once this existed within the mind of man, what happened? It manifested to material form. And essentially, this is what Wallace D. Wattles is saying. Everything stems from thought. Without having thoughts, we cannot manifest things. So everything starts in our mind. Very, very powerful. Absolutely love this. To think health when surrounded by the appearance of disease, or to think riches when in the midst of appearance of poverty, requires power. But he who acquires his power becomes a mastermind. He can conquer fate. He can have what he wants. And I love this because think about the rags to riches stories. The people that, grew up in the slums, in the poor areas, but then they become rich. How did they do that? I'm a big believer in your environment can shape your destiny. But what he's saying here is the man who can rise above his environment with his thought is a mastermind, and he can conquer fate and destiny. So it doesn't matter where you are right now. What matters is you rising above your environment with your thoughts, and then you can have what you want. Absolutely love that. So powerful. This book gives me goosebumps. And then we're going on to increasing life. A seed dropped into the ground springs into activity, and in the act of living produces 100 more seeds. Life, by living, multiplies itself. It is forever becoming more. It must do so. It continues to be all. It is the desire of God that you should get rich. He wants you to get rich because he can express himself through you if you have plenty of things to use in giving him expression. He can live more in you if you have unlimited command of the means of life. The universe desires you to have everything you want to have. So essentially, life gives more life. The more you go out and live, the more you go out and experience, the more you go out and do and accomplish, the more life that you're going to have. And the more life that you have creates more energy, and then you're going to get more. So this is essentially what he's saying. The more that you live and not be stagnant sitting on the couch, eating your chips and watching movies, the more that you live, the more life that you're going to get, the more expression of the universe and God you're going to have. And what I love about this, he says that God, let's use the word God or universe, whatever sits with you. I use the word universe, but you can use God. Same, right? He's saying that the God wants you to get rich. Because why is that? Because he wants to express himself through you. If you get rich, you can have a nicer house, nicer cars, all these types of things. And then he can manifest himself into these different forms that people can admire. So this is God or the universe's dream. He wants you to get rich. It is up to you. He wants you to get rich. And then he moves on to say, you help others more by making the most of yourself than in any other way. So by you becoming the best that you possibly can be, as a natural byproduct, the people around you are going to be elevated. This is really, really important. I love this. This is one of my favorite parts in here. So riches secured on the competitive plane are never satisfactory and permanent. They are yours today and another's tomorrow. Remember, if you are to become rich in a scientific and certain way, you must rise entirely out of competitive thought. You must never think for a moment that the supply is limited. Think about that. So often people get caught up in the competition. And if you get caught up in the competition, this is what I love, and I want you to help you understand this. If you believe in competition, deep down inside in your subconscious or unconscious mind, you believe the supply is limited. You believe that there is lack. Whereas if you rise out of the competitive plane, what that means is you believe the supply is limitless. You believe the supply is abundant. So by not competing, by living in the plane of abundance, you're going to get more opportunity to do really well and succeed. This is great. So how riches come to you? Give every man more in use value than you take from him in cash value. Then you are adding to the life of the world by every business transaction. What is great about this is every time you're giving to another individual, every time you're serving another person, and every time you're giving this person value, what's happening is the universe is becoming indebted to you. Think about like debits and credits. Every time you're giving value, the universe owes you. The The universe owes you. And then what needs to happen is the universe needs to repay you. But the great thing about this is if you're constantly giving more in value, the universe is going to fill you with an endless supply. So this is really, really powerful. I love this. This is great. This is really good. Gratitude. The grateful outreaching of your mind in thankful praise to the Supreme is a liberation or expenditure of force. It cannot fail to reach that which it is addressed. And the reaction is an instantaneous movement towards you. You cannot exercise much power without gratitude, for it is gratitude that keeps you connected with power. To permit your mind to dwell upon the inferior is to become inferior and surround yourself with inferior things. On the other hand, to fix your attention on the best is to surround yourself with the best and to become the best. The creative power within us makes us into the image of that which we give our attention. We are thinking substance. And thinking substance always takes the form of that which it thinks about. The grateful mind is constantly fixed upon the best, therefore it tends to become the best and takes the form or character of the best and will receive the best. What I love about this section of gratitude is the more grateful you are, the more that you get. If you're grateful for the beautiful night's sleep you had, for the fresh air, for the water, for the food, all these things, if you're grateful for all these small things, the more things you're gonna have to be grateful of. And the more grateful you are, you're thinking about the best. So naturally, by thinking about the best in situations, things, whatever it may be, you're becoming the best. And you're gonna attract more of that towards you. Love this. So this is about thinking in a certain way. When you try to impress your wants on the substance, remember that it must be done by a coherent statement. You must know what you want and be definite. Spend as much of your leisure time as you can contemplating your picture, but no one needs to take exercise to concentrate his mind on a thing which he really wants. It is the things that you do not really care about which require effort to fix your attention upon them. Live in the new house mentally until it takes form physically around you. Dwell upon your mental picture until it is clear and distinct, and then take the mental attitude of ownership towards everything in that picture. Think and speak of all the things you have asked for in terms of actual present ownership. Imagine an environment and a financial condition exactly as you want them, and live all the time in that imaginary environment and financial condition. Boom, this is beautiful. So what is he talking about here? Let's think about this. He's talking about affirmations. So when you want to impress your wants on the Supreme, it must be done by a coherent statement, and you must know what you want. So you need to have a crystal clear vision of what it is that you want. If you do not know what you want, you will not get it. So write a list of everything that you want and make it super, super clear, because the more that you know what you want, the more likely that you're going to get it, right? And be definite with it. And then what he goes on to say is you should be thinking about this all the time. You shouldn't think about this once a day. This should be running through your mind all the time, all your leisure time, all the time. For me, my dreams, my visions, I'm thinking about them all day, every day. That's all that's on my mind, right? And then live in the new house mentally until it takes form physically around you. What I love about this is this home that I live in, I live on the beach. I literally live on the beach. It is beautiful. This morning I got to get up, walk out the front, meditate on the beach this morning. How beautiful. But I lived in this house mentally. And then I did that for 10, 15 years, 20 years. And then what happened? I didn't live here, but then all of a sudden, it physically built around me. So I want you to think about this. This is very, very powerful stuff. And then think and speak of all the things in terms of present ownership. By you thinking as if you speaking and thinking as if you already have it, naturally it's going to get drawn towards you so much faster. So this book is very deep. I absolutely love it. So then he goes on to talk about willpower. So to set about getting rich in a scientific way, you do not try to apply your will to power to anything outside of yourself. So the willpower is to be applied to you and only you only. You're not trying to impress your will on other people, on yourself only. If you want to become rich, you must not make a study of poverty. Things are not brought into being by thinking about their opposites. What I love about this is how often do people say, I don't want to be poor, I don't want to be unhealthy, I don't want to get cancer. But where's your focus? Your focus is on the things that you don't want. And what he's saying here is if you want to become rich, don't think about, I don't want to be poor. Think about, I want to get rich. So where is your focus? It's so important to pay attention to your language because your language is going to determine where you end up. This is really, really important. Your language and your thoughts. Absolutely love this. So moving on, talking about action. So your thoughts make all things, animate and inanimate, alive or dead. Work to bring you what you want, but your personal activity must be such that you can rightly receive what you want when it reaches you. By thought, the thing you want is brought to you, by action, you receive it. So thinking is the magnet. Thinking will bring the things to you. Again, one substance manifests the all. When we have a thought, that thought starts to materialize the thing that you want. That will start to get drawn to you. But by taking action, that is how you receive it, by taking action. You can't sit on the sidelines. When that opportunity presents itself, you need to jump at that opportunity and take action. Otherwise, it's gonna pass by. Really cool stuff here. Hope you're getting value. If you are, smash that like and subscribe. Moving on, efficient action. If there is something that may be done today and you do not do it, you have failed insofar as the thing concerned. And the consequences may be disastrous, more than you imagine. Do every day all that can be done that day. It is really not the number of things you do, but the efficiency of each separate action that matters. This is essentially talking about procrastination. You might have one thing that you need to do today, but you keep procrastinating. That procrastination turns into a habit. And then you're not doing the things that need to be done. And then what happens is your dreams pass by you. 30 years you've woken up and life's over. You know what I mean? Or you're on your deathbed. Really important, do all day, every day, everything that can be done. So what you need to do is take action. If something pops up, act. For example, quick story here. The other day I was driving, there's a lot of private equity coming to Australia buying up businesses, right? So the other day I was thinking, if they're doing that, why can't I do that? Why can't I start going and acquiring businesses? I love building businesses. So in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, let's start a conversation. So what I did, I opened up my emails, my wife was driving, and literally I flicked an email to my banker. I'm like, hey, can we catch up? I want to talk about acquiring businesses. And again, I acted in the moment, because if you don't take action, things aren't going to happen. Really important, act. Cool. Getting into the right business. You will get rich most easily in point of effort, if you do that for which you are best fitted, but you'll get rich most satisfactorily if you do that which you want to do. All things else being equal, it is best to select the business for which you have the best developed talent. But if you have a strong desire to engage in any particular line of work, you should select that work as the ultimate end which you aim. So this one's great because there are two elements here. We have natural talent. Think about somebody tall, think about basketball, right? They have their natural talent. They'll get rich with the least amount of effort by, let's say, going into basketball. But they'll get rich in the most fulfilled manner by doing something they really, really want to do. That's really important. So there's kind of two elements to this part here. We work on getting rich by doing something that we're naturally good at, but also if you really want to do something bad enough with your whole heart, that should be the ultimate end, because that is where you're going to get the greatest level of fulfillment. Again, I'm running multiple businesses at the moment, and this is my natural talents within this business, but I love personal development. I love reading, and I love pulling apart the greatest minds that have ever lived. And for me, the end game is I'd love to be one of the self-help gurus like your Jim Rohns, your Zig Ziglars, your Bob Proctors, all these guys, the greats that have ever lived, right? I'd love to do that. That's the end game, right? But every day I'm showing up with my natural talents and I'm creating my wealth, right? The easiest way to create wealth is through that, but this is what I really want to do, and this is the end game. So again, I'm working two things at the same time, and that's important to recognize. Love this. Yeah, I love this section. The impression of increase. Cool. Let every act and tone and look express the quiet assurance that you're getting rich, that you are already rich. So this is essentially fake it till you make it. Love this point. Fake it till you make it. Every way you speak, talk, act, walk, you need to think as if you're already rich. You are already that person. And if you're thinking you're already that person you will become. Love this, the advancing man. Do not wait for an opportunity to be all that you want to be. When an opportunity, be more than you are now, is presented to you and you feel impelled toward it, take it. It will be the first step towards greater opportunity. Opportunities present themselves, but you need to capture those opportunities and you need to step up to the plate. And it might be uncomfortable, it might be scary, but you need to step up. For example, at work, I had a guy, I gave him 2 opportunities to step up to the plate. He failed miserably. On the 3rd time an opportunity presented itself, he didn't make it. So I'm gonna have to move this guy on, right? This is one of those things. When the opportunity presents itself, if you want more out of your life, it may be uncomfortable, but it's important for you to take that leap, step up to the plate, because if you do so, you will get rich. This is some observations. Never admit the possibility of failure or speak in a way that infers failure as a possibility. When others are having hard times and poor business, you'll find your greatest opportunities. Pay attention to your language. In our household, we have a red flag, and at work, I've got a red flag. Anytime I hear anybody say can't, red flag. Doesn't matter who says it, because that is limiting language. That is failure language, right? So it's so important to catch yourself and never think of failure, because where your thoughts go, that is where you're gonna end up. So important. And then coming back to when other people are having hard times or poor business, there is opportunity, right? Very, very simple. Think about the stock market, right? The stock market crashes. Everybody sells, everybody freaks out. They're emotionally volatile, but what do the wealthiest people in the world do? They have cash for the crash because when it crashes, they buy the most shares that are possible because they earn the greatest returns there are. So that's cash for the crash. So whenever there's shit going on around you, not just the stock market, recognize there is opportunity. You just need to look for the opportunity. Take a step back and really think about it. So this next section I'm going to talk about is essentially one of the most powerful bangs for the buck. There is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, and which in its original state permeates, penetrates, and fills the interspaces of the universe. A thought in this substance produces a thing that is imagined by the thought. Man can form things in his thought, and by impressing his thought upon the formless substance can cause the thing he wants or thinks about to be created. In order to do this, man must pass from the competitive to the creative mind, otherwise he cannot be in harmony with the formless intelligence, which is always creative and unique and competitive in spirit. Man may come into full harmony with the formless substance by entertaining a lively and sincere gratitude for the blessings bestowed upon him. Gratitude unifies the mind of man with the intelligent substance, so that man's thoughts are received by the formless. Man can remain upon the competitive plane only by uniting himself with the formless intelligence through a deep and continuous feeling of gratitude. Man must form a clear and definite mental image of the thing he wishes to have, to do, or to become, and he must hold this mental image in his thought, while being deeply grateful to the Supreme that all his desires are being granted to him. The man who wishes to get rich must spend his leisure hours in contemplating his vision and in earnest thanksgiving that the reality is being given to him. Too much stress cannot be laid on the importance of frequent contemplation of the mental image coupled with the unwavering faith and devout gratitude. This is the process by which the impression is given to the formless and the creative force is set in motion. The creative energy works through the established channels of natural growth and of the industrial and social order. All that is included in his mental image will surely be brought to the man who follows the instructions given above and whose faith does not waver. What he wants will come to him through the ways established by trade and commerce. In order to receive his own, when it shall come to him, man must be active, and this activity can only consist in more than filling his present place. He must keep in mind the purpose to get rich through the realization of his mental image. And he must do every day all that can be done, taking care to do each act in a successful manner. He must give to every man a use value in excess of cash value he receives, so that each transaction makes for more life. And he must so hold the advancing thought that the impression of increase will be communicated to all with whom he comes in contact. The men and women who practice for the foregoing instructions will certainly get rich, and the riches they provide will be in exact proportion to the definitiveness of their vision, the fixity of their purpose, and the steadiness of their faith, and the depth of their gratitude. And that was the book, The Science of Getting Rich. I hope you got value, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Smash like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.